What if I told you that one of the most powerful, influential, and massively profitable companies in the entire history of human civilization is actually built on a hidden mountain of spectacular, multi-billion-dollar failures? What if the secret to building a multi-trillion-dollar empire is not about being perfect, but rather about failing bigger, failing faster, and failing more expensively than anyone else on the planet? Welcome to the channel. Before we decode the ultimate, closely guarded blueprint of Silicon Valley success, I need you to hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and officially join our growing community of future builders, entrepreneurs, and innovators. We break down the greatest business frameworks, financial strategies, and economic truths every single week, and you absolutely do not want to miss the high-value content we have coming next. Today, we are taking a deep, unvarnished look at the untold story of Google. We all know the dominant search engine, the massive global wealth, and the absolute control they have over the internet. You probably used a Google product 3 times before you even had your morning coffee today. But the real secret to Google's staggering $2 trillion market valuation is not just located in how they succeeded. The real, actionable secret is in how they failed. More importantly, we are going to look at how they mathematically engineered their biggest, most humiliating public disasters into their most profitable, unstoppable assets. Get ready, grab a notepad, and pay close attention, because we are about to break down the complete history, the aggressive expansion, the dark graveyard of failed tech projects, and the brilliant, undeniable mathematics of turning a total financial loss into a global digital monopoly. To truly understand the massive failures, you first have to understand the foundation of the empire. We need to go back in time to the year 1996. The internet was in its absolute infancy. 2 PhD students at Stanford University, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, had a crazy, highly ambitious idea. Back in those days, the World Wide Web was a chaotic, unorganized mess of information. Early search engines like Yahoo and AltaVista were incredibly frustrating to use. They ranked internet pages based simply on how many times a specific keyword appeared on a page. If you searched for the word basketball, a website that just typed the word basketball 10,000 times in a row would show up as the #1 result. It was a terrible user experience, easily manipulated by spammers, and highly inaccurate. Larry and Sergey decided to approach the architecture of the internet completely differently. They looked at the entire World Wide Web like a massive, global academic popularity contest. They created a revolutionary algorithm originally called backrub, which they later famously renamed PageRank. Here is the simple but genius mathematics behind their revolutionary start. Imagine there are 3 websites on the internet: Website A, Website B, and Website C. If Website A places a link on its page that points directly to Website B, the algorithm counts that link as a vote of confidence for Website B. It is essentially one website saying that another website has valuable information. But Larry and Sergey realized that not all votes should be treated equally. If a highly trusted, massive website, like the official homepage of Harvard University or the New York Times, links to your personal blog, that specific vote carries a massive mathematical weight compared to a link from a random, unknown web page. The PageRank algorithm calculated both the sheer quantity and the underlying quality of links to determine a website's true, objective value. It was an absolute mathematical breakthrough in computer science. It brought order to the chaos of the internet. By the year 1998, they had officially launched Google, setting up their first office in a rented garage in Menlo Park, California. Their stated corporate mission was simple but terrifyingly ambitious: to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. However, having the absolute best search engine in the world did not make them billionaires overnight. In fact, in the early days, the harsh reality was that Google was burning through cash at an alarming rate. They had massive, incredibly expensive server farms to pay for. They had top-tier software engineers to hire, but they had absolutely no real way to make money. The website was completely free for anyone to use. They were actually so desperate at one point in 1999 that Larry and Sergey tried to sell the entire Google company to the CEO of Excite for just $1 million. Excite rejected the offer. Then they went to Yahoo and tried to sell it to them. Yahoo also famously rejected them, a decision that goes down as one of the worst financial mistakes in corporate history. Because nobody would buy them, Google had to figure out how to survive. Then came the ultimate turning point. It was the year 2000, and Google officially launched Google AdWords. This specific moment is where Google transformed from a cool college research project into a global, unstoppable cash printing machine. Before Google AdWords existed, Digital advertising was exactly like buying a physical billboard on the side of a highway. A company paid a massive flat fee to put a banner ad on a website, and they just blindly hoped that the right people would look at it. It was inefficient and incredibly expensive for small businesses. Google completely disrupted this by introducing the pay-per-click model, combined with an ingenious real-time mathematical auction system. Let us look at the exact mathematics of this aggressive expansion. Imagine you own a small business selling running shoes in New York City. Under the Google AdWords model, you tell Google that you are willing to pay exactly $2 every single time a potential customer actually clicks on your advertisement after searching the phrase by running shoes New York. Your biggest competitor down the street tells Google they are willing to pay $2.50 for that exact same click. In a normal auction, the highest bidder wins automatically. But Google realized that if they only showed ads from the highest bidder, the quality of the ads might be terrible, and users would stop clicking them. So, Google engineers created a brilliant equation to solve this. They decided that ad rank equals your maximum bid amount multiplied by your quality score. The quality score is a metric that measures how relevant and helpful your advertisement actually is to the person searching. If your shoe website is incredibly high quality, fast, and people absolutely love clicking your specific ad, your quality score goes way up. Because of this mathematical formula, you can actually pay a low amount of money than your competitor, maybe only $1.80, but still rank higher than them on the search page because your quality score multiplier is much higher. This brilliant mathematical alignment created the perfect digital ecosystem. The users got incredibly relevant search results, the small business advertisers made a massive return on their investment, and Google quietly collected a small financial toll on almost every single commercial transaction taking place on the internet. The cash flow generated from AdWords was unprecedented in corporate history. It allowed Google to expand aggressively into completely new industries. They bought a struggling video platform called YouTube in 2006 for $1.65 billion. Financial critics called it an insane overpayment at the time, but today YouTube is worth hundreds of billions of dollars. They bought the Android mobile operating system, mapping companies, and massive artificial intelligence startups. They quickly grew from a simple search engine into a sprawling, global empire. But with massive, global expansion comes massive, unavoidable risk. And this is exactly where the story gets incredibly interesting for anyone who wants to understand true business strategy. To innovate at a global scale, you have to take massive swings. And when a trillion-dollar company like Google swings and misses, they do not just lose a little bit of money. They miss by billions of dollars. Let us take a deep dive into the most famous, expensive casualties located inside the Google graveyard. First on the list is the infamous Google+. The year was 2011, and the executives at Google were absolutely terrified of a young Mark Zuckerberg and his platform, Facebook. Facebook was stealing the most valuable asset on the internet, which is human attention, and Google wanted it back immediately. So, they launched Google+, their very own massive social network. They poured billions of dollars into software development and marketing. They aggressively forced YouTube users to create Google+ accounts just to leave a comment on a video. They integrated this new social network into every single product they owned. But the consumer market completely and utterly rejected it. The interface was overly complicated. Users did not want or need another version of Facebook, and a massive, highly publicized data breach eventually sealed its fate. Google+ was officially shut down in 2019. It was a humiliating, highly public, multi-billion-dollar failure. Next, we have to look at the disaster of Google Glass. In 2013, Google held massive press conferences to announce the future of human interaction. It was a wearable computer that sat right on your face. Google Glass was supposed to be the next revolutionary leap in hardware, just like the iPhone. It featured a built-in camera, a heads-up digital display, and voice command recognition. But it was a complete and total disaster in the consumer market. First of all, it cost a staggering $1,500, making it completely unaffordable for the middle class. Second, people thought the glasses looked incredibly ridiculous and awkward to wear. But worst of all, it created massive, widespread privacy concerns. Regular citizens were terrified that they were being secretly recorded in public places like coffee shops and gymnasiums without their consent. Bars and restaurants started banning people from wearing them. The mainstream media mocked the product relentlessly, and Google was forced to pull it from the consumer market in complete defeat. Then came the incredibly expensive failure known as Google Stadia. In 2019, Google executives set out to completely conquer the massive, highly lucrative global video game industry. Stadia was marketed as a revolutionary cloud gaming service. The promise they made to consumers was incredible. They said you did not need to spend $500 to buy an expensive Sony PlayStation or Microsoft Xbox console anymore. With Stadia, you could play huge, graphically intense, high-end video games directly through your standard internet browser or on your phone. But Google completely misunderstood the gaming market. They failed to secure enough exclusive game titles. Their pricing model confused and angered gamers who felt they were renting games at full retail price, and any slight drop in internet connection speed caused lag that completely ruined the gaming experience. Millions of dollars in refunds were issued, and by 2023, Google killed the entire Stadia project completely. We also have to talk about Google Wave. Launched with massive hype in 2009, Google Wave was boldly supposed to completely replace traditional email forever. It was designed as a live, interactive workspace where you could chat, share large files, edit documents, and collaborate in real time with dozens of people. It was an incredibly ambitious piece of software engineering, but it was way too far ahead of its time. The user interface was so complex, cluttered, and overwhelming that average users had absolutely no idea how to use it. It caused massive confusion in office environments, and it barely lasted a single year before Google officially pulled the plug on the entire operation. If a normal, standard company experienced just one of these massive, multi-billion-dollar disasters, they would instantly go bankrupt and disappear forever. So how exactly does Google survive these massive hits to their balance sheet? How do they stay so incredibly profitable year after year? Listen closely to this next part, because this is the single greatest lesson in modern business strategy you will ever hear. Google does not throw away its failures. They recycle the underlying, highly complex technology from their dead projects and inject it directly into their most profitable products. They perform the ultimate corporate alchemy of turning dead, failed projects into golden, cash-producing assets. Let us look at the proof. Google Plus was a complete social media disaster on the front end, but the back-end technology they built to manage massive amounts of user data was world-class. During the failed Google Plus era, their engineers developed an incredible, highly advanced artificial intelligence feature specifically for sorting, tagging, and organizing millions of user images. When the Google Plus social network officially died, Google executives did not fire the engineers. They stripped out that incredible photo sorting technology, repackaged it, and rebranded it as Google Photos. Today, Google Photos is an absolute juggernaut with over 1 billion active monthly users. It operates as the primary training ground for Google's massive AI models, teaching their algorithms perfect object and facial recognition. Furthermore, the complex, unified account login system they originally built to force people into Google Plus is exactly what allows you to use one single, seamless Gmail login to access your YouTube account, your Google Maps, your Google Drive, and your Android phone today. The social network failed completely, but the expensive infrastructure it left behind perfectly secured their entire global ecosystem. Let us look at Google Glass. Regular consumers absolutely hated Google Glass, but the brilliant engineers at Google noticed something very interesting hidden in the data. While regular people did not want to wear a computer on their face at a local coffee shop, high-level factory workers, logistics managers, and even surgeons absolutely loved the technology. So, Google pivoted the entire failed project. They stripped away the consumer marketing and created Google Glass Enterprise Edition. They sold the heavily upgraded technology directly to massive logistics companies like DHL, airplane manufacturers like Boeing, and major hospital networks. Factory workers began using the augmented reality glasses to view complex, real-time assembly instructions completely hands-free while working on the assembly line. This increased manufacturing efficiency by massive mathematical margins and significantly reduced human error. Google took a product that was a massive joke to the general public and quietly turned it into a highly lucrative, multi-million-dollar business-to-business enterprise tool. What about the failure of Google Wave? Google Wave was undeniably way too complex to survive as a standalone consumer product. But Google took the absolute core technology they spent millions developing, which was the complex software protocol that allowed multiple people across the globe to type, edit, and manipulate a single document at the exact same millisecond without crashing the server. They stripped that technology out of Wave and injected it directly into Google Docs and the broader Google Workspace suite. Think about how many businesses run on Google Docs today. Today, Google Workspace generates billions of dollars in recurring subscription revenue every single year, largely because of the flawless, real-time collaboration technology that was literally born from the ashes of the failed Google Wave project. And then we have Stadia. Stadia completely failed to win over the hardcore video game community. But the back-end server technology required to stream ultra-high definition, 4K resolution, incredibly low latency interactive video across the globe to millions of users simultaneously was an absolute masterclass in modern cloud computing. When the gaming platform died, Google simply took that revolutionary Stadia streaming technology and integrated it directly into Google Cloud. They began selling those massive data rendering capabilities to other massive enterprise companies. They also took the advanced video compression algorithms they built for Stadia and used them to make standard YouTube videos load significantly faster on slower mobile internet connections globally, retaining millions of users who would have otherwise clicked away due to buffering. Why does a company like Google intentionally risk billions of dollars on highly experimental projects that have a massive probability of failing? It all comes down to a concept called the mathematics of venture innovation. If you want to build a trillion-dollar company, or even just a highly successful multi-million-dollar small business, you cannot play it safe. You have to operate your life and your business exactly like a Silicon Valley venture capitalist. Let us look at the live, undeniable math of how this strategy actually works in the real world. Imagine the executives at Google decide to launch 10 massive, radical, highly experimental new projects. Let us assume that every single one of these projects requires a massive budget and costs exactly $1 billion to build, market, and launch. The total upfront capital investment for these 10 projects is $10 billion. Statistically speaking, in the highly competitive, ruthless world of high-tech innovation, the failure rate is absolutely brutal. Let us say that the market rejects almost all of them, and 9 out of those 10 projects completely and utterly fail. They generate zero revenue and are shut down. That is a devastating loss of $9 billion in capital. If you have a traditional, middle-class, safe mindset, losing $9 billion sounds like an absolute nightmare. It sounds like the end of the world and a reason to give up entirely. But you have to look at the math of the one single project that actually succeeds. Let us say that out of those 10 wild ideas, the one successful project becomes the next Android operating system, or the next YouTube, or the next global AI model. Because digital software scales infinitely without massive physical manufacturing costs, that single successful project generates $100 billion in brand new market value and revenue over the course of the next decade. Let us run the final equation. The long-term revenue from your one single massive win is $100 billion. You subtract the total upfront cost of all 10 experimental projects, which was $10 billion. Your final net profit is a staggering $90 billion. You lost 9 times out of 10. You failed publicly 9 times, you wasted $9 billion, and yet you still walked away with $90 billion in pure profit. This asymmetric risk-to-reward ratio is the ultimate mathematical secret of Google. They know that failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is simply the required, non-negotiable financial cost of finding the next massive global breakthrough. They actively embrace the graveyard of dead projects because they mathematically understand that within the code of those dead projects lies the absolute DNA for tomorrow's trillion-dollar technology. So, what does this entire story mean for you, watching this video right now? You are currently living in the most rapidly changing, volatile, and technologically disruptive economy in human history. The age of artificial intelligence is going to displace millions of comfortable jobs. Whether you are actively building a small digital business from your bedroom, trying to climb the corporate ladder in a major company, or investing your hard-earned money into the stock market, you are absolutely going to face severe setbacks. You might spend months building and launching a product that literally nobody buys. You might start a YouTube channel that nobody watches for the first 2 years. You might invest in a software tool that completely crashes and burns. The core difference between the average, struggling person and an absolute industry titan like Google is exactly how you process that inevitable failure. When the average person experiences a failure, they internalize it deeply. They view it as a personal attack on their character. They get embarrassed in front of their friends and family, and they permanently quit. They close down the LLC, they delete the website, and they go running back to the false safety of a linear, boring, 9-to-5 job where someone else controls their destiny. But the true innovator, the person who understands the mathematics of success, looks at a massive failure and asks an entirely different set of high-level questions. They ask, what specific market data did I just gather that my competitors do not have? What underlying back-end system, network, or skill did I just build that I can completely repurpose? How can I pivot this exact piece of technology or this specific workflow into a brand new, highly profitable market? You absolutely must adopt the Silicon Valley mindset if you want to survive the coming decade. You have to stop viewing your failures as a permanent, shameful stain on your permanent record. You need to start viewing your business failures simply as expensive data collection. If you try a new business model, like drop servicing or e-commerce, and it fails miserably, you did not lose 6 months of your time. You literally paid a tuition fee to the market to learn exactly what the consumer does not want. Take the digital marketing skills you learned, take the incredible mental resilience you built, take the underlying network of contacts you established, and apply all of that accumulated leverage directly to your very next venture. Google did not start as a trillion-dollar monopoly. They started in a messy college dorm room. They were aggressively rejected by the massive corporate giants of their era who thought their idea was worthless. They built massive, hyped-up projects that literally fell apart and became laughing stocks in front of the entire world. But they never stopped. They kept iterating on the code. They kept calculating the asymmetric risk. They kept turning the ashes of their dead projects into the foundational assets of their future wealth. If you truly want to build generational wealth in this new digital economy, you have to be completely willing to fail loudly, learn quietly, and pivot ruthlessly. If this message shifted your perspective today and gave you a new framework for how to view your own business journey, it is time to take immediate action. Do not just passively watch this video and move on to the next piece of entertainment. Subscribe to the channel right now to lock in your financial education. Leave a like on this video to signal the YouTube algorithm that you are serious about leveling up your life and your business. And I want you to drop a comment below telling us about a specific failure you experienced in your own life, and exactly how you are going to use the data from that failure to completely fuel your next massive success. The future economy absolutely belongs to those who are not afraid to build it, break it, and build it again. We will see you in the next video.